Okay. First, I want to say that you probably already heard about what happened in the past few days, especially last Saturday evening, that one of the computer science major, Kareem, lost his life due to the unexpected, very brutal homicide in Davis, and which the whole community took us by surprise, but also really sad because somebody who is so close, he might already took some course with you. He actually contacted me when he first got here, Kareem, and also last week, the other gentleman got murdered, homicide in Central Park. So number one, I just want you to be careful, want you to be safe, and especially in the evening. We got email message, I think, from the student body, try to, how do I say that? Until we actually be able to resolve the case, that we're actually thinking about what we can avoid for all of you to actually stay late. Okay, so we'll make more announcement. Before I went through today's lecture, as well as participation, I want to say that what you guys have been doing in homework number 3 might have a potential application to help us to provide a better safety about our environment. So what is a record? A record is, I have a way to recording at a particular place at a particular time. What are the devices around there and what are the people are there? If we actually be able to provide some kind of way to record in not just the bus, but also in the park, in a corner where there's no light, and have a technology that's actually, we won't lose our privacy, and yet we have some accountability about what happened about forensics. And this potentially will help our society to at least be able to see things coming and understand this pattern with more information and be able to resolve some of that. So I have been cooking this in my mind about how in a small college town like Davis, that how can we actually be able to provide some kind of support in the sense that it's not monitoring, it's not surveillance, but we have a way to have more information when some of the event happen and help the community to decide how to actually be able to respond to that as quickly as possible. Okay, so that's one thing I would like to share with you, and you will see some of that in the midterm as well. But I will gradually talk about that after I finish this next 2 or 3 lectures. By the way, many of you asked, I think the midterm, realistically speaking, is probably going to be happening in the middle of May, okay, around whatever, May 15 or May 14, because that will give us time to finish the subject and also give us time to actually allow us for you to actually prepare. And so that's the time I want to mention. Okay, so last time we essentially cover all the important topics about single inheritance, about what it is, what are the things you need to worry about, what's the linguistic perspective of single inheritance. Especially last time we covered a concept called virtual function. We say, well, what's the difference between a regular member function and a virtual function? So essentially we say the main difference is that which function to call depend on if it's a virtual function, what was the class or object type that this object was created at the time of creation, then that will determine its behavior. If it's not virtual function, then the casting will be able to cast, to change, because we can actually change the type anytime we want. So that's one main difference. And the second important point to take away is that the difference between compiler time and the runtime. So essentially, some of the information or some of the computable behavior can be determined before you start running the program. That's called, usually we call compiler time. So it means that there is some predictable behavior before you even run the program. You already know that is going to call this function. And that's actually, we usually call a compiler time analysis. And in regular member function, is purely can be determined by compiler time. But because of the requirement for virtual function, then it has to go for runtime. It cannot be determined by compiler time. As I kind of argue, if you still don't understand, we can talk more. But it's important for you to understand the difference between compiler time and runtime, and why virtual function cannot be determined about which function they're going to call by compiler time in general. Okay, that's actually the important takeaway from last lecture. That those are probably very important for you to learn, for example, to prepare for the exam, midterm and final. Okay, so today we're going to apply this concept to some scenario. And the code, I already sent it to you via the GitHub link. And I'm going to actually ask you a question like this. So I want to design some classes. Okay, I want to design some classes. And let me tell you that what I want to design, I mean, I teach a class called ecs36b. And in this class happened to be, I want to form teams of students who actually work together. And I want to make sure that the student will be able to communicate with each other. So essentially, if you think about that, we have a few concepts. We have a concept called person. You can think about the class person, as you already kind of familiar with for homework, probably homework 2, homework 3, homework 3 only. And then we actually introduce a concept called class team. So what is a class team? This is the minimum information for you to actually define a class team. So class team must have the following member or attribute. The first one is a team must have a team name. It must have a name to this team. For example, the first name I got from this class is called Fireball. Okay, that's the team name. And there is also another thing which we'll talk about is a vector of member, which each member is a person. So that's the minimum information. We want to be able to define the concept called team. And yet the team has a vector of array. Okay, in C++, usually they have a different kind of architecture, different kind of data structure. One of them is a vector, probably the most common one. That's similar to array. All right, so we have to have a team, and then we want to have a message to allow the either a particular person, particular student in this case, or a particular team to actually communicate with the other team. So we want to have another concept called message, another concept called message. And in this message, what do we want to model? I mean, whenever you look at object-oriented programming, it's really about object-oriented modeling. Modeling means that what is a class, what kind of inheritance relationship means class hierarchy, and what kind of attribute you need to put in there. So think about what kind of attribute we have. For example, a message should have a sender, should have a receiver, and a message should have like a message header and headline, or you should have a timestamp about when this message was out. and then you should have a body of text or encoding, whatever. It could be a HTML, whatever is a body. Okay, this is basically a message looks like. So a message, you should have this. But then when we talk about sender and receiver, we have a different option because the communication can support at least the following, four different types. First is P2P, a person send a message to another person, or a person send to a team. So that's P2T, or a team send to another team, or a team send to another person. Okay, so either one of these cases might be possible in the scenario that we're interested to support this simple ecs36b scenario. I mean, the person talk to team, team talk to team, team talk to person, person talk to team. I mean, just like this. Okay, so I'm going to actually provide some design of the two options for you to actually think about. So I actually have two different options. Okay, these are two different options. So the first option is on the left. So on the left, I actually have a class called person, and I have a class called team. Let me actually show you a little bit about the code you already got and about what this looks like. Is this the right directory? No, this is not the right directory. Here, mobility is the directory. Sorry, let me make it bigger. Let me actually be showing you what the person class looks like. So for this lecture, I actually changed it to SP person. SP stands for, I think it's a simplify or privacy or secure and privacy, because I don't want to reveal a lot of personal information. So that's why I have a SP person. So let's look at spperson.h. By the way, this code already sent it to you. If you look at the SP person, it has a very simple. It doesn't even have a real name. They only have something called avatar name. I really don't want real name. I don't want a real student ID. I just want a name that we can communicate. That's fine. If you call this person Winnie the Pooh, or you call this person Avenger, that's fine. That's perfectly okay. So we actually define the only attribute for SP person is avatar name. You can think about avatar name, maybe an email address or whatever you want. And then this have a two constructor and has a one operator overloading. And then we have this two common function dump to JSON and the JSON to object. So for homework 3, I actually asked you to do dump to JSON, meaning that you actually convert the C++ object to a JSON representation. But now I'm actually starting to introduce another function complement to this one. This called JSON to object. Means that if you actually gave me a JSON encoding that's generated by dump to JSON, then I can actually do the reverse process and such that this one will be actually converted back to a C++ object, because then this provides us a two-way street. You can actually convert your object from the C++ world to the JSON world, and you can actually take anything from the JSON world, convert it back to C++. Then essentially you have the power to do a lot of things that across different platforms or even programming language. Okay, so that's the very simple design about what is an SP person. Okay, I'm going to show you the other piece of code, which is new to you, is ting.h. So what's ting.h? Ting.h has a name, which the ting has a ting name. That's why it has an attribute name. And then this is the first time you actually saw I use a vector. Vector, as I mentioned, is a template. It's a standard template with C++ that allow us to represent I would call it a much user-friendly way of doing array in C. So let me actually just read this part, very simple, is that you define a vector and each of the element in the vector is a object of SP person. Okay, so this is basically, you should read it this way. This is a vector, but a vector of what? Like you have an array of integer, array of floating point, array of object, essentially. So here is a vector of SP person I just showed you earlier. And I call that array or vector with a variable name called members. Okay, so that is what I define as a team. A team is a name with an array of person, but I strip out all the detailed person information. So that's why I call it SP person, a new class. Okay, and again, I have a constructor. I have another function called setName, add a new member. And then I have this two lovely function called dump to JSON and JSON to object. Okay, that's basically all the .h and .sql already give it to you. You can actually explore the more detail. But I want to go back to here. Is that the code I just showed you follow the design on the left. So essentially, I want to be able to communicate between a person and a person, sometimes a person to a team, sometimes a team to a person. So the way I do it is that I decide to use inheritance. I still use single inheritance, by the way. Is that I actually make both person and team inheriting from another concept, another class called commutable. So essentially, commutable is a new class, which is the parent class of both team and the person. Okay, so then if I have this, then we actually look at the message. If you look at the message, this is the design of a message. Essentially, the message has three parts. One is from who actually sent the message, two, to which receiver, and then the content. I mean, I kind of simplify. I said the whole content, regardless you want to do header, body, whatever, and all this content, I just use one JSON object. Okay, I just use one JSON object. So this is actually from and to. That's a message. And then what's the class or object I use to model from and to is actually commutable. And then what is commutable? Commutable is like this. It's like this. So basically, when I send from one to the other, is actually I can model the person want to send the person, that's fine. It's commutable talk to commutable. If it's a person talk to the team, they're still commutable to commutable. Okay, so that's one of the design. Okay. I'm actually going to show you the other design. Okay, by the way, whenever I show you a design, when I use the word design, is usually is very subjective. In object-oriented programming, by the way, a lot of issue has become very subjective. So it means that we don't have a way to optimize the design objectively in a lot of cases. Because actually, you have to present the design, and people start to say, what I like about this design, what I don't like about this design. And then from that process, we try to optimize that way through the teamwork, okay? So definitely, even though I implement this way in the reference implementation, I have no way to say that's the best way you can do. There must be other ways you can accomplish. Okay, so now I have actually another way to do this. Another way to do this is that I decide not to use inheritance, but instead, I actually define one single class. I can call that class commutable, or I can call that class a team. Doesn't matter. In this case, I probably it's hard to say. I will explain to you why I don't want to use the team necessarily. Because the way I design inside this particular class, I only have a one attribute. That attribute is a vector of person object. So essentially, this vector could have a one single person. If it's a person to a person, then I'm actually have a one. I'm talking about the right-hand side. I can actually have a one person commutable talk to another one person commutable that become one-to-one, P2P. But I can also do a person to multiple person. That means I have a one person commutable talking to multiple person commutable, because in this case, the commutable is controlling the number of person I have. So essentially, I can use the idea of commutable and to actually allow me, this is more like today's email address versus a mailing list. If you establish a mailing list, you're essentially adding a lot of email address into this commutable. So the commutable is essentially a mailing list. And when you send it, it will send to everybody there. But if you want to use commutable to represent one single person, your personal email address, and that's, you only need to include one, that will be enough. So that's another way to do it. Okay, any question about number one, what I try to accomplish here in terms of the design? Number two, you understand what this design is trying to do using inheritance, using single inheritance. That's usually a good sign when you only use single inheritance. And then this, I don't use any inheritance, but it seems to me I can accomplish the purpose. So I now want to open the floor to you guys. No standard answer for this. Which one you prefer and why? Yes.
I prefer the right side one because it kind of streamlines the whole thing down to one class.
Okay.
And just because the difference between person and team here isn't two distinct things. The person is just a special case of a team, one person. So the right side better addresses that idea.
Okay. Well, that's good. Okay, let me take away. I'm not capture everything you said. What's your name? Nitin. Nitin is saying that this one is actually, we come down to one single class, right? Is you don't have to worry about a class hierarchy. Just one class will be able to help me to do a lot of it. It's a good point. Okay. Anybody else want to offer your opinion on this? You don't have a feeling about this? This is what I'm going to ask you. Okay, the reason I'm asking this is that depending on your response, I will decide whether I want to include this in the midterm or not. I'm serious. I'm serious. Usually, okay, if you have too many responses, it won't be in the midterm. Yeah.
If we say why not remove a person for that coming to our ads, what exactly? Like, would it be? I think it would be really easy vectors, but they resize them themselves. But how would we remove or add a person?
I think your question is very interesting. What's your name? Arvin. Arvin. Okay. Arvin is saying that, well, what happens if we want to remove a team member, like you don't like your current partner for some reason? And well, by the way, I actually had this last year that some of the student, okay, this is hopefully none of you are actually from my last class, but there's apparently one student got removed from one team because his teammate actually joined the other team, and he didn't know about that. And he still submitted his own work by himself and then add everybody else. So I actually got like a two submission for the same student, but from two different teams. Okay, I was kind of confused. Okay, but anyway, just this is gossip. Okay, all right, that's gossip. Okay, so don't do that this time. Okay, I don't want to be seen like this. Okay, if you want to change your partnership, please let him know, and please let me know as well. Okay, so here is an interesting issue to just changing the team. it's usually not a big deal. Okay, we just basically you have a member function, and then you basically just do something like that. But the tricky is what happened about those activity that's actually using the team as identity before and after the changes. That will be interesting. I mean, for example, we talk about record for your homework assignment number 3. So if we decide to say, well, who is on the bus or who is at the park? And if we use a team, then we should know what's the team membership at that time. When somebody is actually at that bus, have you seen anything? And can the police interview you, or FBI want to know something about what you have heard about? I mean, by the way, this is really interesting. Why I said about privacy. So I don't know if you know that your phone is a listening device. Your phone is keep listening what's going on around the world. So essentially, when you're walking, if you don't think you're listening, probably Google is listening. I'm just guess. Okay, don't quote me on that. All right. So or Facebook is listening maybe. So essentially, our device is listening. So for example, if I visit the park at a certain time, if there's only me and the other person, that means the sound has not been recorded, and therefore I'm going to turn up my sound and then try to record what kind of sound that's actually happened at 9 p.m. on Saturday. Well, if there are lots of people there, then the coordination may be okay. We don't need everybody recording the sound. Only those people being randomly selected will turn on, depending on their GPS, to record what's happening in the sound. Sound can actually derive a lot of interesting forensics. So coming back, is that's actually ideal, but privacy, because who actually control the sound? Your phone. Assuming you are not using those, whatever company started with G and F, okay? Whatever they're actually send it to the cloud. Don't send it to the cloud. Send it to, just keep it to your personal cloud. And then, but you have a record that this person was there 9 p.m. on Saturday in the Sycamore Park. And the thing is that when you have that, then there's a way I can actually find out, look at all the record to see that, oh, wait a minute, this person might have turned on his recording device. I can actually get a lot of more information, try to understand what's going on at that time. And then you can actually search the parameter, get bigger and bigger, and then be able to know that. But those kind of things, if you nail it with a team, then you have to know who's on that team. So therefore, sometimes you have to be careful. Yes.
I'm just wondering, what if if we do information other thing like animal, and is it easier to do mutable with this first structure? If for example, one person to animal or to animal, be easier with this syntax.
That's you extended your class hierarchy to include the animal. Yeah, I like that. I mean, I have a really cute rabbit. I like to communicate with him sometimes. Yeah, I think it's possible because it's not saying that we can communicate with the animal, but there are some modern technology, they actually can put some sensor on animal when the animal is running around. Either we want to track the animal, or the animal even will include some sensor or sound recorder as well. Yeah. Yeah, I learned this from 101 Dalmatian, that's actually possible. Yes. Yeah.
Probably the method on the left-hand side occupies less space on the server. Because if you want to create a group that is, if you want to create a group chat and you want to delete all the things, you can just delete the whole group. But on the right-hand side, each message are stored for every account.
I see. Yeah, that's a memory storage. That's That's another very good point as well. So you can see that. Thank you for all the idea. I think all the idea that being presented here, they have some merit and they have some interesting perspective. So that's why we do object-oriented design. We want to sit together with a team and then decide a different perspective. In this particular case, I do want to tell you is that I actually didn't realize some of the problem with this design until I started doing implementation, which toward the end of the class, I might be able to show you more detail. Okay, so now I want to do participation based on this program. So I just want to do a demo very quickly. I assume you already, or you're about to, download this program from this directory called sfelix full mobility. Okay, you download everything. I hope when you type make, you only need to change a few things like minus capital I and things like that. You will be able to do that. Okay. All right, now I want to just show you a quick demo. How should you run this program? Of course, you just type make. Okay, there are 3 programs generated. One is called mobility server, which you don't need to run against that because that's actually running on my machine. And then there's 2 program, one called mobility send, one's called mobility dump. So mobility send is that you send a message to the server. Mobility dump is dumping the last message that your team has just submitted. Okay, is that okay? So send is send the message. Dump is basically retrieving. So essentially for participation, if you actually send and then you do a dump and you actually got you got something for your team name, then you're done. You're being recorded. Remember the previous participation, I will record your team name associated with student ID number. But now I only need your team name. Okay, so let me actually show you how this program looks like. So here is first send. What kind of things you need to modify? Go to mobility send.cpp. Okay, go to this program, and then I already kind of highlight what need to be there. This program basically say the receiver is the instructor. His name is whatever. And I have, in this, I actually create 2 person. If you have a 3 student, which I don't think we have any group with 3 students, then you actually just copy this line. You have another SP person called student number 3. Okay, just modify the name. Don't put your real name, just put some avatar name. Okay, just put like this. And then you actually here, you have a string, which is called my team name. Just change this to whatever your team name was when you do the previous participation. And then the rest is probably you don't need to do anything. You just, actually this 3 are the only thing you need to modify. In fact, the most important one is this. Put your registered team name because you could use John and Helen as your avatar name. That's perfectly okay with me, okay? Important thing is the fireball change to your team name. And then the rest, you can see that the message has a header, has a body, doesn't matter, okay? You put whatever you want. If you don't put anything, doesn't matter. And then you can see after I done this, I actually have JSON RPC. Now you see replace this http://127.000.1, change that to the ng-raw link I just sent at the beginning of the class. Replace that, and you type make, and then this will send it out to me, okay? I'm going to run the server first. Sorry, I haven't run the server. Okay, server is running. You can start doing something. Let me actually show you what I did. Oh, I haven't. I have to change that as well. Okay, don't worry. Let me see if I got anything from you guys. Fireball, this is me, right? Any question? I will actually look at the object because object has every single thing has a JSON file. Yes. Anybody have successfully sent it out? Let me actually check my NGRock status. Let me actually try to do it myself to see if I can actually get to it. What? Okay, I'm going to change this link to oh, you know what? Maybe it's 8384. Let me actually check my server. No, it could be the port number. I changed the port number for this one. Let me actually change back. Oh yeah, 8384. It's not 7374. 8384. Okay, try that again. Okay, now I'm getting it. Immediately I got it. Okay, I'm sorry. The port number was wrong. Okay. So okay, I'm seeing you guys are coming in. That's embarrassing. I was using a different port number. I forgot. Okay, so you can do the second step now. If you actually submit it, you can actually see if you got your result. So you go to the second program is called dump. If you go to the dump, it's like this, but what you need to do again is change the team name here, and then change the NGRock link and try to run it to see if you can retrieve it. You can retrieve it with your team name with that NGRock link, then essentially you have been participation credit for everyone. Yeah. Yes, yes, you can submit. You can still submit. If you actually didn't do previous, you can still do it. Oh, Just waiting for a few minutes. Okay, let me actually see that. Maybe my server crashed. I have a bug. 1 second, hold on. Oh, you see that? This is this is my bug. Is a segmentation for 11. That means whoever submit, let's actually take a look who submit the last. Because that particular group is so talented, it actually crashed my server. No worry, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Whoever done this after this? That's interesting. I need to log more information, but that's okay. Let me run it again. Okay, please submit. Now I restart the server. I will actually log more stuff. It's recorded permanently. See that. Okay, apparently I have some, my program has bug. Yeah, okay. What's your question?
I just keep getting client connector errors from the bottom. It's not going up there. I don't know if I have the wrong link or something.
I can take a look at that. What's your mobility send? Okay, mobility send. Let me check my NG rock. Is NG rock okay? It looks like it's okay. 40B8. Yeah, the program looks fine to me. I know what happened. There are 4 extra letters. It stopped at APP.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let me try see. Can you go to the window, try to compile it? Okay, yeah. What's this?
When we try to make it, it gives us that error.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You're welcome. So your the JSON file has a problem than in this one. Did you change this file at all?
No.
It's basically it's saying that it cannot process this correctly. It says it's an invalid JSON. Let me try to make it again. Yeah, that is. Can you try to re-download this file, ecs36b mobility.json? You're in the same team?
Yeah, we're in the same.
Can I use your computer to see if they have the?
It's the exact same problem.
So how do you actually download this program? You use the GitHub,
Mhm. I
the whole zip file, right? What?
I downloaded it from GitHub.
Yeah, then I'll try to see your, because it's the. If I can quickly see what's, if there's any, like a funny character somewhere. Let me see. Control S, right? Can you type in make again? I just modify one character to see if it's well. It's still the same thing. Okay, may I ask you a question? Have you, when you install JSON RPC, have you tried to build? Have you tried to build? Because it's very interesting that both of you have exactly the same issue.
Mhm.
Okay, so I don't know what's going on with your implementation. Very unusual. Can one of you come to my office hour tomorrow? I'll help you resolve that. Okay, don't worry.
How do you clear about it? So in some of the records, there's only 2 people. So it's just printing in those records, it's printing null for the third person. Since there's only 2 people, is that fine?
Why? Usually it shouldn't print out
I
the
used
null,
I
right?
used the professor, I mean, I used the TA's code. He told me to do a blend. And then I added this if it's equal
Okay.
to the null, but this isn't working.
Right. Yeah, I don't know about that because I'm unfamiliar with the TA's code. If you send me email, if you contact TA, If he cannot help you, send email to me. I will actually read your email this evening, okay? Yeah.
So for this mobility document, they're getting this.
Did you change the,
Yeah, the link and the name and everything.
well, but here it says could not connect to 127.0.0.1.
Yeah, but before that, I also like did this.
Did you run big again? I knew I had to run big.
Which ran successfully. I don't know.
No, it's, you have, but it's different because that was actually, now it's different kind of error. It's-
I think we have to like run the server. and everything.
Right, let me see if I can. It looks like the server is still there, so try again. Let me see other student. Yeah,
Yes.
okay, right. So send me an email with the student ID associated with that team name.
Okay.
Then you'll get both, okay? Yeah.
Then,
Having an issue with the client connector. I came to you about this before lecture.
okay.
Uh-huh.
And I sent you an email, but it's running into the same issue again.
Yeah, I mean, this is ran successfully. Excuse me.
We copy this already. You're using a Mac, right? Shouldn't be a problem. Okay, you know what? We have so many students had this issue with participation credit. For those of you has an issue, can you all come to my office hour tomorrow? Because it's getting late. I don't want you guys,
Close the device?
no, I haven't.
It doesn't say success.
Oh, it's probably because, I core dump again. Now I just turn on. Yeah, yeah, it's just turned on. I will have office hour tomorrow, at 1:30. If you cannot make it there, we'll do Zoom, okay? To do that.
How noise?
Yeah, it looks okay. Now I see some of the students are coming in.
How the angle I am success?
If you do a thumb, hold on, let me actually turn off my record.